Here we've got the Retroaktiv MPG7, and it's a controller for all things Juno 106, as well as being a universal MIDI controller. It can save patches and settings. It's got Retroaktiv's very clever patch generator on board. We can polychain units for 12 voice Junos, and it generally brings things into the 21st century studio. Here I've got it sitting next to a Juno 106, and you can see we've got almost the same controls, and it's almost the same, not exactly the same, as this is designed primarily to be a controller for the MKS-7, which is also known as the SuperQuartet, which it's sitting on top of. And this is a really interesting bit of kit you may not have come across. It's got the 6 voices of the 106, plus an extra bass voice. It's essentially a 106 in a box, really. It's got the same chips and circuitry, so everything, or an awful lot in here, is interchangeable. Here's one of the chips out of this one that I've tried to revive, but it's knackered, so I had to replace it. But if you've ever seen a stripped back 106 voice chip, you'll recognize this instantly. And I think I'll look at this more in another video, but today I'll concentrate on how it works with the MPG7. And if we look at the front of the SuperQuartet, we can see why we need a programmer. There's no way of editing the sounds. It was very much a preset only machine. And we can also see why it's named the Quartet. And that's because, unusually for its day, it's multi-timbral. We've got 4 tracks: a rhythm, bass, chords, and melody. The rhythm track has got 11 of the 707 PCM samples on it. If we go to MIDI channel 10, these are actually velocity sensitive. This keyboard isn't. Then we go to the bass, and that's on MIDI channel 2. Look at this, we go to MIDI channel, bass is on 2, chord is on 3, melody is on 1, and rhythm's on 10. So bass was on 2. That's like a simplified version of a 106 voice. MIDI channel 3. Chord channel, so this can have 4 or 6 voices. And then the melody channel, which is channel 1. That's 2 voices. So we've got up to 3 different synth tones plus drums, and on the back we've got separate outputs for each channel, and that all means we can do stuff like this. And that brings me back to the programmer, really, because it can program new sounds, which you can't do on the original. You can save those new sounds again, which you can't do on the original. There's the ones I've saved for that track there. You can also save the whole setup, which is all the sounds you're using on that track, and the CC numbers and the assign modes. I'll explain all that in a minute. So it does a lot more than the SuperQuartet could on its own. And if you've got a SuperQuartet, you're really doing it an injustice if you haven't got a programmer or something like this for it. So looking at what I was playing there, we'll go back to the melody. What was on MIDI channel 1, was it? Let's turn this down. So yeah, the reason why I'm using the melody for that is because I'm not the bass, is because the bass can't use the chorus. The bass is very limited on the SuperQuartet. In fact, if we go to the bass, MIDI channel 2 was that? Yeah. Needs to be editing the bass. We can have a sawtooth or a square, but we can't have both. And odd things like we can't hear the pulse width changing when we do that, but we can when we hit the key after we've finished playing with it. You can't use the chorus, which is why I wasn't using it for that tone there. And you can't use the sub. Can't use the noise. So although it's the same voice chip, it's really limited in what it can do. But inside here, we've got 99 different tones for it. So let's try and get to that 13 again. You get the idea. I'm not going to go through all 99, but you know, there's plenty you can get out of it, basically. But peculiar that they didn't just add those extra features, because the chip is in there. That can do it all, as far as I realise, as far as I know. But we can edit that directly now because we've set this up with the MIDI in there to be playing channels 1, 2, and 3, so it knows it's set up for this. That's automatically set up like that. You can change that if you want using MIDI. Maybe I'll just mention the MIDI setup as I've seemed to have got to MIDI channels and that. We'll go to MIDI setup here. We've got MIDI page 1, and this is the MKS-7. We could change that to Juno, and we can go to MIDI page 2. So if you look down here, we've got the inputs and the outputs. I'm using port 1, so that's the DIN port, plus the USB on this as the inputs. So the USB is being used to receive stuff from Logic, and the DIN port is being used to receive notes from the Juno 106. And then the output is going via the DIN, and this DIN is going into the MKS-7, then from the through in the MKS-7 into input of the Juno 106. And what that means is that when a load of tones, so let's go into the chord mode, and we'll go into the total chord mode, so that's all 6 voices. You can have it 4 voice or 6 voice, and you can see on the front here we're selecting 1 or 2, so this is now all 6 voices. And all of those 6 voices, if we go to load, we will go to the pad, shall we? Let's load that pad in. Let's listen to the Juno 106. There's the pad, and listen to the SuperQuartet. Okay. So now this is modifying both of them. And that's how I did that intro track, but on the intro track I had the Juno 106 all in the left ear and the SuperQuartet all in the right ear. At the minute they're both doing left and right. You can hear the LFOs calibrated differently. We're not just getting a single LFO in there, that's just quite a nice effect, which I used on that intro track. And in poly mode, we get 12 independent voices. Which is pretty massive for a 106. So hopefully you're beginning to understand what's happening here. We select what we're editing. So which of these voices or tracks or channels, what you want to call them, which one of these we're editing using this button here. So let's just create a tone, shall we? Let's turn the 106 off for now, or turn it down. Let's do I don't know, what should we do? So a PWM tone, so LFO up, or LFO on the PWM. Turn that down. Let's go down an octave. So you can see differences in the panels here. We've got 1, 2, 3, a range of 16, 8, and 4 on this. It's slightly different, although it's the same thing really. It's add an octave, add 2 octaves, and you can see actually it's changing on that. So that's the same. Other thing we don't have on this is the second chorus mode. Got chorus on or off, and it goes to chorus 2. If I put that on 1, I wonder if this changes it to 2. Yeah. So it's chorus 2 or nothing. And I should point out that if you're in Juno 106 mode, not the binaural mode I'm using there, you can access all the chorus options. So you've got 0, 1, and 2. You can see the light getting brighter. Well, hopefully you can. Same with the high pass, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, and I'll show the noise in a second, but similarly you can change the value even though you don't have a slider or the 2 extra buttons. We also have velocity sensitivity, which we don't have on the 106, and the high pass, we've just got high pass on or off, whereas on the 106 we've got 4 different modes. Off, which is like got a little bit of a bass boost, and then 3 other modes. The SuperQuartet isn't as flexible using noise as the 106. On the melody, it's either on or off. In chord mode, it's not usable. In whole mode, so when you've got the 4 and the 2, it's not usable either. Or on the bass mode, only in melody. And in this mode, you don't have the option of a slider. As I say, it's on or off. If we put the whole thing into Juno 106 mode, though, we can adjust the level of the noise by continually hitting the key, which is a nice little idea. And also, you can't hit bass or chord when you're in 106 mode, because obviously it's only got one mode. So actually, I was creating a tone, so let's save a tone. Let's get that PWM tone. And then we just save that using save, tone, enter, and then we just enter the name. So let's not bother trying too hard at the minute, but we've got ways of clicking through capital letters, lowercase letters, numbers, etc. So tone A, and press save to store. Very simple. And we can save the whole setup. We go to save setup, so we can save a whole setup there. So a really cool thing that these retroactive controllers have, let's go back to the chord mode, let's go to full, is this patch generator, and this is absolutely brilliant, this. So let's generate, we can generate any type of tone we want. And I've got to wonder, did Mr. Kraft just go through this and select some cool ones for his patch bank? Because it really is this easy. Generating a tone, a bass tone. Let's hear what it sounds like. It's got a bit of a Voodoo Ray vibe. That's quite cool. Try again. You don't always get something great though. But it's definitely a bass tone. You get the idea. Let's go to, I don't know, polysynth. Let's try that. That's definitely a polysynth tone. It's great, isn't it? So for just generating tones and little ideas, fantastic. And then if you look at that, you can edit the tone to how you like, and then you can, if you've got the LFO working the way you like, or you've got the envelope working the way you like, you can turn those parameters off, so you're only changing the parameters you want to change. Let's go for a piano. Yeah, and again. Sort of, as well as piano-y as a Juno 6 gets, or Juno 106 gets. String. Next little thing to look at is this assign mode. So if you go to assign, I've got aftertouch selected there. In fact, what I'll do is I'll change from the 106. I've got something with some better controls on it. I'm using the Novation launch key because it's got lots of knobs and sliders all sending MIDI information, which is great for showing the assign mode. So we've got aftertouch plus 3 MIDI CCs we can use, and each of those has got up to 3 destinations. Come to the aftertouch, just double check on that. Yeah, 3 destinations. So to set a MIDI CC, go to the source, hit shift, and then wiggle your source. So that's MIDI CC 71. Go to the destination. Let's hold shift. Let's do the LFO rate, because that's a really obvious one to hear. Got a minimum and a maximum. If you wanted the minimum to be higher, or you didn't quite get it because of where the knob position was or the fader position was originally, just hit something else and then start again. So minimum to a maximum, we'll put it on the highest, and then destination 2 we will put onto the LFO. I've already done this before, but we can see what I'm doing here. Put it on the maximum to the minimum. So now let's just make sure the cutoff's down a bit so we can hear it. Now this knob should be playing these two, or this fader should be playing these 2 faders. So and if we go to assign 2, we'll do an invert on the cutoff just to show the invert mode as well. So CC, we'll do this one here, 72. Destination 1, we'll put it on the cutoff. But we can have it inverted, so when I pull it down, it increases the cutoff. So push it up, it reduces the cutoff. So it just brings loads of dynamics and performance opportunities, really. To create a patch from scratch then, we'll press Shift and Init. A simple sawtooth. Now, when you're creating patches, it's always best to start from an initial patch or bringing all the sliders down to 0, because if you use an MKS-7 preset to start with, all you do is change the values on the MPG7, which is actually just changing the difference between one tone and the one that you're after. And when you save it, you've just got the difference between the two tones. So it's better to start from scratch. It's a Juno 106, so it's pretty easy to do that, or set everything down to 0. So let's go from scratch again anyway. Put that onto envelope. You'll notice we've got plus and minus envelope there, so positive or negative. We've got a switch on the Juno itself, don't we? Let's add some pulse to that as well. You can hear my little dodgy voice in there as well, crackling. Chorus. So yeah, what I really wanted to show you there was the initialization. But while we're on patches, I should really show the Espen Krafted stuff, shouldn't I? So we go to load. We're on patches at the minute. To go forward through the banks, we've got 10 banks here. We just carry on pressing loads. To go back through them, we go shift and load. So it's bank 5, 4, 3, 2, Espen bank. So yeah, we've got 99 in there. And as I said earlier, I bet these are finally crafted and he's not used that patch generator at all. Lovely Juno-esque sounds. And as we've been loading and saving stuff there, it's worth coming back to the MIDI Sysex page. We can send the tone. This is all via Sysex, obviously. We can send the bank, receive the bank, and also send whatever we like. So receive CCs, assigned setup or tone, and also send any of these things that we want to save there or load there. So if we come to setup, that's to load the setup, go to save setup, save tone, load the tone, CCs, CCs, assign modes. So it's really simple to find your way through this. Some other cool stuff we've got on here, we've got this freeze mode. So if we go back into the main page and then we hit freeze, we can change what we like. And we're not getting any change to the sound yet. So if you've got a performance going and you want to quickly change into a different tone, for example, change it on the fly, press enter, and then it changes it to what we've got there. Manual mode, shift and manual, and now it's whatever's, on the panel. It's like a helicopter mode. A little bit more of that, a little bit less of that. In fact, let's drop that down and get something a bit punchier. And let's use the chord mode. So if we go into MIDI, we've got on the final page of that, we've got a chord mode down here. Turn chord mode on. And you set those notes just by shift and play the notes. Another really nice thing is if we go into MIDI and we put this into send and translate CC. We can use this to send and translate CCs through your DAW, so you can automate it through your DAW, or you can automate or play with other stuff. Here I've got the Softube Model 84, and I'm just adding the MIDI CCs. So we're modulating most of those parameters on there with these. And if we go to Unit 2 on this, so MIDI Unit 2, we've got User CC. So we can go to each of the faders on this and we can change the CC number. So we can customize it to whatever we want. So LFO, for example, MIDI CC, we can change that to whatever. So if you've got another hardware unit that's got fixed MIDI CCs or software that's got fixed MIDI CCs, you can change them on this. Then we hit save. Save user CC. Yep. User CC, there we go. Just call it A and save the store. And then we've got it. So you'd save that as, you know, whatever synth or soft synth that you were controlling with it. So I think I've shown all the major functions of this, all the cool bits. Hopefully, I didn't want to go through and do a manual and this is how you do this and this is how you do that. So hopefully you've got a good idea of how you navigate things. You've got your main menus here. You've got your buttons to flick back and forth through them. You can save stuff. You can load stuff. If you want to load a tone, go to tone. If you want to load the setup, go to setup. If you want to load user CCs, go to the user CCs. If you want to load an assign mode, load the assign mode. All of that's held in the setups, by the way. So go back to the main page because I don't want to do any of that. But that's quite nice, that, isn't it? I have to remember what that chord was. Yeah, so there you have it, the MKG. I hope I've given a good overview of it. I hope it was of some use to somebody somewhere. And as I always say, if it was, please do subscribe, ring the bell, join me over on Patreon. This channel is funded by my YouTube ads, affiliate links, and my wonderful patrons who, for less than the price of a really lukewarm latte a month, get access to patches, samples, tutorials, and lots of other little goodies. And again, take a look at my starskycar.com website. There's patches, there's samples, there's free stuff, you can pay for stuff. As I always say, it's nice if you pick up some of the cheaper bits and bobs. But anyway, thanks for staying to the very end. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time.